Welcome back. Well, hardly a week goes by without a shooting being reported in the Western Cape. Some people have become so used to the sound of gunfire that they no longer report it to the police. But SACPS, or SAPS rather, and the city of Cape Town say they're determined to rid the streets of illegal guns. In recent months, we've seen an average of 30 to 40 guns being confiscated each week, along with hundreds of rounds of ammunition. But where are these weapons coming from? Our reporter, Ayesha Ismail, tells us more.
Targeted crime-fighting efforts in Cape Town have yielded many wins for SAPS and the city's law enforcement officers. And yet, guns and ammunition are confiscated in the province every other day. Western Cape Provincial Commissioner Thembisile Patekile says guns land up in the wrong hands for a variety of reasons. Among them are negligence, theft or loss. But he says they're seeing positive results.
As we do our crime prevention operation day-to-day, our stop and searches and also intelligent-led operations where we get these firearms, and most of the time those firearms were on this way to commit crimes, and then we intercept them and we arrest people.
But where do these weapons come from?
It would be interesting if we get these numbers, firstly, that are filed off, because we can trace that firearm. But of some of what we've done in our inspections, we have also discovered that the fatal ground where we get lot of firearms getting missed or lost are within the security companies. We found that they're losing a lot of firearms, whether it's either robbery or theft or otherwise.
He believes guns are also being smuggled across South Africa's borders.
As you have seen in the northwest, the people that have been arrested with the illegal mining and firearms, the AK-47s and all those firearms, the neighboring countries' contribution to the firearms. For example, here in the Western Cape, right now we've got about 52 firearms that we recovered that are of Namibian origin.
But what about police-issued guns that are often found on criminals?
Look, there were policemen that were robbed of their firearms. We got policemen that have been killed, shot and killed, when the firearms are taken away. And we also, because remember our policemen are also staying within the community. We've had numerous attacks on the houses of our members at where they stay. And some of them they were shot at because criminals are looking for guns. So that part, but where there is a criminal element on the part of our members, we deal with it. And we know that there are some that we've dismissed, there are some that have been arrested.
The City of Cape Town's J.P. Smith believes he's got the answer to the seemingly endless supply of guns.
If you're confused about what's happening here, then one must have a very short memory, because we should all remember Colonel Prinsloo, who sold a large number of firearms to gangs all across the city, and in fact allegedly also to taxi associations elsewhere in the country, and potentially up to 9,000 firearms being missing in relation to his activities.
In 2016, Christian Prinsloo was convicted and sentenced to 18 years imprisonment for selling decommissioned police guns to gangsters, raking in millions.
A very large number of firearms disappeared from the National Armoury and were sold through various intermediaries, including, according to this research, a well-known legal practitioner who represented many of the gangs, and various others, some of who were arrested and prosecuted as well. But the number of firearms exceeds what has so far been recovered. So there is still a very large number of firearms from this sale in circulation, destroying lives, ruining communities.
He says many more firearms missing from the armory are still unaccounted for, and it's likely gangs are selling off these weapons bit by bit to keep costs low and avoid detection.
The fact that we're continuously finding large numbers of firearms, that SAPS can take 65 firearms allegedly in 2 weeks, that we can take 400 firearms in a year, and that were continuously drafting or pulling huge amounts of illegal firearms out of the community, and there's an endless new supply of that. Must make you ask, where do these come from? And the answer is simple. They were sold by a man who was prosecuted and convicted for it, who was released early from his sentence, and is now free again. But he is one person in the police who was prosecuted for that. And it is very debatable how many other persons were involved in that network or that syndicate. It is highly unlikely that he alone was single-handedly involved and could have gotten away with what he got away with by acting alone. And it is entirely possible that there were many others involved in that situation. That may well have been what Charles Kinnear was starting to uncover, and the reason that Charles Kinnear was then murdered.
An IPID investigation has implicated senior police officers in Kinnear's death. He had been investigating several of his colleagues over their alleged involvement with gang members. That report has been classified, but this would change in a successful bid to have it declassified. Ayesha Ismail, Cape Town.